We are here in Austin County. Now, some of you may be wondering why I'm in Austin County, and it all goes back to the Brazos River. Now, Austin County, of course, is named for Stephen F. Austin, and I spent a lot of time, lived about 4 years in Brenham. And one place that I came to quite often back in my musician days was this little bitty area, we'll call it a town, called Kenney. It's right off of Highway 36 in northern Austin County, on Loop 497. And the one place that we always came to was the Kenney Store. And there's the Kenney Store. We would come here and do open mic night and just have a good time. Actually got to see Johnny Lee perform here one night. It was very, very cool. And it's a bar, restaurant, live music venue. It's very, very cool little place to come and hang out on a weekend. I believe they do, if they haven't changed anything, they do the open mic night on Thursdays. But spent a lot of time here, made a lot of music with friends that I was musicians with. But I wanted to start here in Austin County because we are going to two different places, and this video may be chopped up into two different episodes more or less, but we're gonna go to San Felipe, and it's significant because that was basically the governing area or headquarters of the Austin colony. And then we will be going to New Ulm, and that's significant because of the other river, the other significant river that is in Brazoria County, and that is the San Bernard. That is where the San Bernard, that's the headwaters, that's where it begins. And it's just something I felt that was very necessary talking about, especially the west side of Brazoria County, because the San Bernard River actually sets up part of the western border of Brazoria County. So one last look at the Kenney Store, and it's changed a little bit since the last time I was here, but very cool place, has great food. And we're gonna go into Bellville, and not gonna spend a whole lot of time on Bellville, but we are gonna go into Bellville and kind of get an idea of where it's at, and we'll talk to you here in just a little bit. Now we are in Bellville, and we're in the downtown area. There is the Austin County Courthouse, and what makes these smaller towns downtown area very cool is it's active, it's vibrant, and there is a little bit of a roundabout here, which I always thought was cool. Every time we made the trip up to the big country up near Abilene, we always took Highway 36 pretty much all the way to Baird, Texas, and this roundabout was kind of cool when I was traveling the roads back in the day when I was a youngster. But this is Bellville, very cool town, very prideful town when it comes to their being Texans, and just a really cool place to be. So after taking a few steps into the museum, one of the first things you'll see that just kind of pops out at you is this interactive wall here. You can see it's got moving parts. You can see the cows and the horses and everything moving, but there's these little white dots, and you just tap on one of them, and you can go into a little bit more detail about what that represents. And then you got the TJ Pilgrim School. Talks about cannons. It's got a cannon firing over there. It's got a fairly good representation of what the town probably looked like. And I think that the museum is really uh, presented and set out and laid out in a way that is very welcoming to visitors. It's got just tons of information, and it actually has a pretty detailed timeline of the events leading up to the revolution and subsequent event of Texas becoming its own republic. And you can see here it's got very much a fairly detailed timeline here, starting 1828, going into 1832. There it lists the Convention of 1832, the Convention of 1833. And then when Stephen F. Austin in 1834 was arrested in Saltillo, yeah, he stayed 18 months there. And that's a long time to be imprisoned. And go into 1835, Coahuila and Texas prepare for conflict. Mexico tries to take away the weapons from the people and the militias. We look at General Coss orders the arrests of William Barrett Travis and uh, Robert Williamson, Lorenzo de Zavala, and then General Coss lands in Texas in 1835. The revolution actually begins October 2nd of 1835, and you've got some great pictures and recreations of some of the artifacts that were there. The Constitution of 1824 flag. You've got newspaper articles, and I think what really sparked this is me talking here. This what Stephen F. Austin wanted was he wanted Texas to be its own state within the nation of Mexico, and that was vehemently denied. So that really started to push the buttons when it came to Texans wanting to be a uh, uh, independent, shall we say? And this area here, this little cutout area here with the artwork, I think is fantastic, and it's got a lot of great information here. It kind of gives you a feeling of what kind of dress that these individuals were wearing at the time. Some of the the publications that were put out, and you've got Lorenzo de Zavala there, who was a Texian. And one thing, if you are familiar with this channel and you have watched the introduction to the channel, I wanted to make it widely known, well known, that a lot of the history that we are taught in seventh grade, that was the only time Texas history was done. When I was in school, it was in the seventh grade. But a lot of this is a romanticized version of the history of Texas during the revolution and the days leading up to the revolution. And one thing that I feel is very important is that we kind of separate the romanticized version of history and look at the actual events of the history of Texas pre-revolution, revolution, and post-revolution as the Republic of Texas. But a lot of these artifacts and things like that, they may be replicas, but these were artifacts that were found that were real. They were used, just like you'll see here. You got the Kentucky long rifle that was used by many of the Texians, the militia, the regular army. A lot of them used the Kentucky long rifle, very accurate weapon during the Texas Revolution. So these things like these, there's no romanticizing those. This is what was actually used, and we have to discern what's the romanticized version and what is not the romanticized version. What is the actual truth of what happened there at these different places? The Alamo, we weren't there. Nobody walking the face of the earth was there when the occupation of the Alamo occurred, the siege. We weren't at San Felipe. We did not participate in the runaway scrape. Nobody walking the earth did that. Uh, so we have to go off of what is written down, what is told. And sometimes those facts can be somewhat embellished. And depending on who you talk to, a lot of people saw Sam Houston as a coward, because he constantly fell back with the army and would not engage Santa Anna or General Coss. He knew they were coming, and he just continuously fell back. Now, depending on what side of the fence you stand on, you see Sam Houston as a smart general, a smart military man that was doing the right thing. Others may see what Sam Houston was doing and may call him a coward or call him yellow or whatever you want to call it. This was a great little uh, artist rendering of the runaway scrape, burning everything as they left, only leaving with what they could muster and hold. And then one thing too that I see through this is, yes, this is Texas history, but Mexico serves a large portion of that Texas history. And for any history, it doesn't matter if it's American history, world history, European history, there's always going to be the opposite side of that. And the opposite side of Texas history is going to be the Mexican involvement. And I'm just glad that it seems like, for the most part, both sides are being told here. Nobody is being omitted, whether good, bad, or ugly. And here you can see some of the artifacts that were found as the town after the town burned, and they started excavating and finding uh, a lot of these artifacts. And you'll see over here, you've got some china and things of that nature. And you have to realize that during this runaway scrape, they were told, take only what you can carry, take your absolute necessities, leave everything else, and burn the town to the ground. And you've got some letters and journal entries here in the china that was left behind, Celia Allen, some china that was left behind, ceramic fragments there. And you can see that a lot of this china was very intricate. It was beautiful. Uh, some Stephen F. Austin information there, and just this is just a great place. And this area right here is right by the exit from the museum that will take you out to the paths that lead you to the Austin Villa and the walk around that we're going to go around here in just a couple of moments here. But you got some stuff from William Barrett Travis here as well. But this is just an amazing place. And if you are in the Sealy area, if you are around that area and you have some time to spend, I highly recommend that you go to the San Felipe de Austin historical site. This is absolutely amazing. what they have done here. And some of you may be wondering, with my focus being on Brazoria County, especially western Brazoria County, why am I here? Well, and I may have said this in the intro to the video, but as a child, I didn't realize that the Brazos was always somewhat close to me, geographically speaking. It's always been there. And it's not until you get a little bit older and start appreciating things that they mean more to you than you thought that they did. Speaking of, even living in the Abilene area, the Brazos really wasn't that far away. Or there was a Salt Fork or a Clear Fork of the Brazos. It was always there. And San Felipe is right on the Brazos. What they've done here at this historical site is nothing short of spectacular. It's amazing. And hopefully I'll get out of here before it gets too dark. But we're definitely going over to that historical marker over there once we complete our journey here. And if you're unfamiliar with where San Felipe is, well, let me say it right, San Felipe de Austin. It's basically just north of the town of Sealy, which is situated basically at the intersection of Highway 36 and Interstate Highway 10. It's beautiful out here. Just absolutely beautiful. And again, I think they've done a phenomenal job recreating what was San Felipe de Austin, the capital or headquarters of Austin's colony. You got the Stephen F. Austin State Park in the other direction. And I'll just say this, it's It's about 2:15 in the afternoon on Saturday, November 11th. By the way, happy Veterans Day to all of those who have served. I was showered with it yesterday at work. Kind of makes you feel good. Print shop. And William Barrett Travis's law office. During the drive around today, I've been listening to the audio book. I believe it's called Lone Star Rising. Now, let me check, make sure that's correct. Sorry, Lone Star Nation. And I found it funny that when talking about my hometown, the burning of the town, wow. Anyway, when talking about my hometown of Brazoria, within maybe a 10-minute span of narration, that's the word I was looking for, within a 10-minute span of narration, Brazoria was pronounced two different ways. So it kind of made me think that whoever was reading, doing the narration, is not a Texan. First it said it correctly, Brazoria. And then within the next 10 minutes, it was pronounced Brazoria. And I couldn't help but laugh. But that's the funny story for this video so far. Okay, we've made the circle here. Now we're gonna go over here. They're having some reenactments over here, which should be pretty cool. We're going to Via de Austin.
Failed miserably, get paid today.
Hadn't even had your cake.
No. You got cake?
Just lunch. Cake is the only thing left.
Oh, what a shame. I can tell you're broken. In case you're wondering, they display the bake oven stuff, right?
Okay, so the first thing that you do is you write a letter telling us who you are and going to go ahead and ask you some questions that are easier for that. So,
Yeah, it was already broken. We might as well just put you right there.
You didn't have to have the flint and steel and all that to make the spark. The cap would go right underneath it. You use the cap when you want the same technology. That's always been the same. Stick that cap right down there on the bottom of it, and when you get ready to fire, the hammer goes up and pops that cap, goes up into the barrel.
Why is the Brazos River so important? You may hear a woodpecker off in the distance. But the Brazos River is important because in the state of Texas alone, it covers 42,000 square miles. That's the tributaries and the watershed, everything like that. And technically the Brazos goes all the way into New Mexico. So for early Texas, colonial Texas, pre-republic, the Brazos was the superhighway. This river goes all the way up to Washington on the Brazos, and you had boats like the Lively, the Yellowstone that came up and down this river, and there's a lot of history with this river. And not to sound too emotional, but something that I realized not too long ago is that when you're around something all of your life, we tend to take things for granted, and this river is something I feel I've taken for granted. It was always there. Like I said earlier, it was whether I was in the Abilene area, if I was in Throckmorton, Texas. I don't know how many times we crossed the Brazos on that trip along Highway 36 every summer until my mid-teens. It was always there. And it's something that I am exceptionally proud of, is that this particular river served such a large part of history in the state of Texas, in the Republic of Texas and pre-Republic Texas. I love this river. And this river is, in my estimation, the most important river that is in the state of Texas. The Guadalupe, the San Antonio, Rio Grande, all have their purposes. They have their marks in history, but none of them, the Red, the Sabine, the Trinity, none of them, in my estimation, is as important and historically significant as the Brazos River. So, the Brazos River, just outside of Sealy, Texas, it served as a major thoroughfare. It was the interstate highway of its day in pre-colonial Texas and even post-revolutionary Texas. And we will go back to Brazoria County. We're going to visit the mouth. We're going to visit where it crosses, or where Brazoria is. It's right on the Brazos River. For all intents and purposes, Columbia was right on the river. Bell's Landing. We've already been there. But this river is special. This river has seen so much, and I wish I could see what this river has seen throughout the hundreds of thousands or hundreds of years, hundreds of thousands, depending on what you think how old the earth is. Millions, billions, whatever. But this river is special. One more stop before we leave. San Felipe Memorial Park. Got this great statue here. Stephen Fuller Austin. There's also a very large statue of Stephen F. Austin in Angleton, which we will visit at some point. John Bricker. Private in Captain Mosley Baker's company, who was killed just across the river from this site, April 7th, 1836, by a shot from a Mexican cannon. and was buried where he fell. He was born in Cumberland County, Pennsylvania, January 30th, 1791. This tablet was erected by his kinsman April 7th, 1935. So nearly 100 years after his untimely death. I will say, very thankful that the Lord saw it fit to keep the rain away today so I could get this footage in. San Felipe de Austin town site, laid off by Stephen F. Austin as the capital of his colony in 1824. Here was held the only federal district court ever convened in Texas under Mexican rule. Wow. Father of Texas. Very cool. Events leading to Revolution. First convention held at San Felipe October 1st, 1832. Second convention April 1st, 1833. General consultation held November 3rd, 1835, when a provisional government for Texas was organized with Henry Smith, governor, and J.W. Robinson, lieutenant governor. County Board of Education, 1928. Helped erect that. Wow, this is pretty cool. This well was dug by the Austin Colony in 1824 and restored by the Sealy Chamber of Commerce in 1928. She deep. Really wish they would have had a Texas flag out here, but okay. Now this church is very historic. Austin's colony, the first colony in Mexican Texas. That's significant. Let's go check out this church. Oh, it's a general store. Okay. I was told there was a church over here. I stand corrected. J.J. Josie General Store, built by John Crutcher in 1847 on the Plaza de Comercio in San Felipe. This was the last store built in the town after its 1836 burning by military order. That was the runaway scrape. Purchased in 1867 by Dr. J.J. Josie. It was in continuous operation as a store until 1942. Wow. The building has been relocated a number of times. Josie in 1880 moved the store 1 mile east to a new location on the Texas Western Narrow Gauge Railroad. In 1962, the structure was returned to its original site and restored for use as a museum. It was moved to the Stephen F. Austin State Park in 1969. So this was the last store in San Felipe. Wow, very cool. Oh, maybe that's the church, I don't know. Let's walk on the trail. The burning of San Felipe. This should be interesting. After the fall of the Alamo on March 6, 1836, General Sam Houston and his Texian volunteers retreated to the east from Gonzales. Colonists evacuated and abandoned their homes and property in what became known as the Runaway Scrape. So let's go see what this is. Near this site stood a town hall built about 1830, in which were held the first and second conventions of Texas, 1832 and 1833, and the consultation of 1835. The provisional government functioned here until March 2nd, 1836, when the Republic was formed at Washington on the Brazos. The building was burned with the town March 29th, 1836, to prevent it falling into the hands of the advancing Mexican army. And the state of Texas erected this monument in 1936. So 100 years afterwards. I do not know if this was the actual town hall, but it could be. I do not want to assume that it is, because that looks to be concrete. So, doubtful. The Convention of 1833, followed by the consultation in 1835, reflected the growing tensions between the colonists and the Mexican government. The fateful military and political events of late 1835 would sway Austin to the war movement. It's well known by those who've done any kind of study that Austin at one point praised Santa Anna as the savior of the Republic of Mexico. It's pretty interesting, if you ask me. But this was San Felipe. I hope you enjoyed it. We got one last side over here. Stephen Fuller Austin, impresario. If he whom by conquest wins an empire and receives the world's applause, how much is due to him who by unceasing toil lays in the wilderness the foundation for an infant colony and builds thereon a vigorous state.